Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you join us from worldwide. I'm Sterling. It's great to have you back on the channel. Thanks for coming back. For all the new subscribers, welcome. And for all the existing subscribers, welcome back. It's always a pleasure getting together. This show is being recorded for Sunday, February 27th, 2022. And as always, these shows are for entertainment purposes only. All the information I share with you comes real time through my guides, angels, extended spiritual team, ETs, famous people from history. And so these shows are for entertainment purposes only. And then just real quickly, people always ask how to submit questions for these shows. We take questions. We put out a request every Monday on our community board for questions for the following Sunday show. And that's where we garner all the questions. We had hundreds of questions this week. I don't know if it was 300 or 400. So thanks for all the participation. I think today we narrowed it down to 49 questions I'm seeing here, 49 questions on the list. So we try to get through as many as we can. Also, if anyone needs to reach me, we get asked that all the time. Just look for sterlingpsychicmedium.com. Look for the book a session tab. And it's a very easy process to book a session. So with no further ado, let's get going on today's show. And first, before I start the show, I really want to take a moment out because of all the events happening in the world. I really want to send out a lot of prayers and love and light and compassion, even condolences in some cases, to all the people of the Ukraine. They're experiencing such a hardship under the aggression that's going on from Russia. So I want to send a lot of love and light and compassion and know that you're all in our prayers. And I know the world is supportive in many ways. So we'll get through a lot of these kinds of details here in this show, but I certainly wanted to make sure that we all send love and light and a lot of prayers to all the wonderful people of the Ukraine. So let's get into today's show. 49. Sterling, can you please look at the current situation in the Ukraine and areas surrounding Ukraine? In your last video, you briefly mentioned that there'd be an invasion by Putin that would not last long. It'd be an incursion not too far into the country, and that would be over soon enough. Putin has attacked the airfields, infrastructure, trying Kyiv. He's in the east, in the Donbass region, and he is in Belarus. So is this going to expand to Eastern European countries? Will Putin use nuclear weapons against the world? So I tell you what I get on this. So my guides are communicating right now, real time, and I've been talking with them for the last number of days on all of this, is that I do see there's going to be a significant turnaround. Now, the turnaround I'm talking about is that there's going to be significant effort by the world's leaders, countries, NATO, even some military action that's going to cause a turnaround. Now, we're going to see continued aggression. I get that. And it looks to me like a lot of the world's nations are waking up to the fact that if this condition doesn't get handled quickly, it's going to be at their doorstep in various parts of Europe before long. So I see, it looks like maybe there's an incursion into half or 2/3 of the Ukraine, but the Ukrainian army doing a very good job of holding them off. But it looks like the world's nations are really going to step in. I also see an uprising in Russia, with the Russian population really coming to bear on what's going on. And so that causes a political shift as well in Russia. And not the least of which here, they're telling me, I also see that a lot of the oligarchs, there's maybe a dozen or 20 different oligarchs here, they're going to put pressure on Putin to calm things down and really slow or stop that war, because there are a lot of economic impacts going on worldwide, not just in their stock market, but in assets around the world. So my guides are saying there's going to be a turnaround. I also do not see that this will be a nuclear conflict. I see that the world is already understanding, many of the nations, including Russia and Putin, understand that that's not going to end well for anybody. And so I do not see this as a nuclear conflict. But in a fairly short period of time, now, how long that time is that weeks? What is this? Or was it months? Hard to tell, I'm sorry, at this point. But they're telling me there's going to be a turnaround eventually here with Putin. So hopefully that helps. 48, kind of an addendum to this question. ETs are here amongst us and offer assistance to help mankind, yet it's difficult to see how they're helping humankind right now based on what's happening. Why are they not helping to prevent and help the Ukrainian people? So ETs, there's actually a dozen groups of ETs. They're already interacting with humankind and with the world right now. They're also looking over the nuclear arsenals worldwide, not just in Russia, but in the US and other countries. And they have also stepped in already to help protect the areas around Chernobyl. And they're telling me that they're also going to prevent any kind of a spark that's going to kind of incur a nuclear action. So they're already here helping, and sometimes it's hard to understand how and where they help. But they do stop major natural, national, global disasters, if you will. So they're already helping. You may not see the direct efforts, but I'm being told here that they're already integrated. So look for more of that to come. I think you'll see certain types of conflicts and this stopping of certain major disasters that they're going to be involved in. Much the same way we saw missile silos shut down decades ago through ET interaction. So you're going to see that. So I think the bottom line here is that we're going to see a resolution to all of this, and integration of NATO forces and peacekeeping forces, and not only Russian population, but oligarchs, a lot of forces coming down to help turn this around. And so make sure you keep everybody in their prayers. But I do see this getting resolved in a way that works for civilizations and works for the world. So everybody, stay tuned here. 47. Is the former guy and or Putin working to stretch Biden and his administration so thin with so many things to attend to and juggle that they weaken Biden's administration? Yes, yes, absolutely. They're trying to put a lot of things on Biden's plate in order to make it difficult for him to kind of move forward in various areas. So yes, that's part of it. The good news is that the administration is aware of it, and they've developed a very good strategy here, they're telling me, of what I call divide and conquer. So really moving around a lot of the major issues going on with the nation and making sure there are competent people involved in it. So it's a difficult time for the world, and a difficult time for the US and the nation, and even other parts of the world, in Canada and Australia and Europe. But anyway, it looks to me like, they have tried to stretch him thin, Biden thin, but he will overcome. 46. Hi, Sterling. I once hiked up Temple Mountain in southern New Hampshire just after an ice storm in the full moonlight. When I came back down the trail, I could hear a very faint, high vibrational music like wind chime. And then I noticed a full figure wrapped in a green iridescent tunic. The figure would not let me see its face and walked with me for 20 minutes or so. It was very magical. Who was this? They're telling me that this was a protective angel for you. So for whatever reason, I don't think there was a situation going on there, but this was one of your protective, even one of your birth angels. So you had an experience here that was very angelic. So congratulations. Okay, question 45. What modalities do ETs use for healing? Frequency-driven sound energy, infrared light, blue laser light, and what they call tonal frequency healing. So it's almost like a vibrational connection to the human body or to the ET body to accelerate healing. So they got a couple of different modalities or technologies they use. 44. If you are ghost hunting and a spirit asks for help to cross over, should you help them cross over, or are you interfering with their process? So, if you run into spirits, let's say in a haunted house, you're really most likely going to run into prankster spirits. However, if you run into spirits that genuinely need help, that's something that takes some expertise. And I would encourage anybody that is not familiar with the process to kind of get involved with that. But typically around haunted houses, you find prankster spirits, And I wouldn't deal with them unless you find them very amusing, in which case they find you amusing. But I wouldn't help real, spirits that are genuinely in trouble unless you have the expertise to do so. 43. Can he ask if 45's Republican Party, who are now Russian assets, will be expelled from Congress? Yes, within 12 to 24 months, we'll see a lot of 45 colleagues expelled from Congress as a lot of the information comes to bear and a lot of the indictments and trials start and the pathways to the money. And interestingly enough, a lot of the sources of offshore, Russian money that's coming to infiltrate the GOP, that's actually, we're going to find out a lot more about that as we kind of stop all of the financial transactions and we admonish many of the banks that Russia's involved in. We're actually going to find additional paper trails there to the GOP. 42. In New Zealand, we get a lot of whales stranded. Would you ask your guides if this is caused by magnetic fields of the Earth, or is it due to volcanic activity like magma movement, or both, or something else? I mean, they're telling me these are magnetic wave lines that move around the Earth. And as the Earth crust or magma moves, it changes some of the magnetic wave lines and ley lines around the Earth. And so this is affecting some of the sonar that whales use. So this is a transitory condition. It's going to get much better, but that's kind of what's taking place. And it's best that humans, whenever possible, assist the whales to get back in the water as soon as they can. 41. Can you please explain why places become very crowded or busy soon after I enter them? It usually happens at outdoor parks, retail stores, or the cash out lines. Is something spiritual happening? Yes, you're moving in a very spiritual, loving energy. So congratulations. And that's attracting a lot of people. It's interesting. My wife, Linda, has the same experience. So, people that generally move in a very large kind of loving energy. And, the more loving your energy is, the more expansive it is. You can actually see this using certain types of testing hardware. Sometimes oral photography will show this. But you're moving in a very large, loving atmosphere, and that's attracting people. So congratulations. Makes the lines long, though. 40. What is the best way to help our children and grandchildren during these most difficult times? Teach them centering techniques to control stress, because we all can learn how to calm ourselves down, and also teach them to learn how to listen to their still small inner voice, their inner consciousness. These are techniques that are helpful for no matter what your age is, but I think this is about grandchildren. This person asked about children specifically. Never too young to learn these techniques. So remember, we all agreed to be down here at this timeline, and we chose our parents. And so all these are lessons that even your grandchildren are here to learn. Okay, 39, our countdown. What will be the outcome for a social media app 45 is launching through the Apple App Store? Be around for 1 to 2 years, let's say 12 to 24 months, maybe even 12 to 18 months. It looks like it's going to run out of funding and then get shut down by the federal government due to some conspiracy or pushing conspiracy theories through. So it's going to have a short life, but looks like it may be around 12 to 18 months, and then we shut down. 38. The newly elected New York County District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, has said he has doubts about the case of 45. 2 prosecutors working on the case have resigned in protest. Has someone gotten to Alvin Bragg and persuaded him to drop the case? Yes, I mean, I do see heavy influence around him, which got him to, move away from prosecuting the case. But I do see new groups of attorneys or legal entities here moving in that will eventually move the prosecution forward. So there's kind of a new group of attorneys that will help push across this New York State case. So it's still going to move forward, but Yes, it looks like Alvin Bragg, and entertainment purposes only, is dealing with some influence from 45 camp. 37. When aliens abduct people, what is it they are actually doing to them? Well, in many cases, this has to do with gene testing and gene evaluation, and ETs are following large families and hierarchy in families. So typically, ETs or extraterrestrials are following families sometimes for hundreds of years, but it has to do with gene testing. 36. Can spirits move items, and do they do this to get our attention? Or do trickster spirits do this just for the hell of it? Well, all spirits are capable of physically moving objects. And even your family members or benevolent spirits will try to move objects. That's all part of their getting your attention. I find sometimes that family members on the other side may try to do things like move car keys, and then they'll be lost for a couple hours. You'll find them in the center of the kitchen table, the next morning or something. So family members do this, so do trickster spirits, but I find family members try to do things that are a little more synonymous with how you knew them, or something personal to you. So hopefully that helps. 35. I was wondering about Chernobyl, the nuclear disaster that happened in 1986 in the former Soviet Union. Today, the area belongs to Ukraine. It does. In the beginning, everything died. Today, animals and people have come back and are prolific in this area. Are the animals healthy? Why are there no insects? And are there ET friends helping out in this area? Yes, I mean, this came up, I think, earlier in the discussion that extraterrestrials are definitely watching this area. This was essentially a fast land grab for Putin and Russian forces. I don't see them wanting to do anything terrible to that environment. They don't want to run the risk. But I think this person asked, I still see, that area is still very dangerous just in terms of groundwater and earth and elements, animals, the kind of birds and things that fly around the sky. So it's not a safe area. But I guess, dovetailing that answer, I see ET still watching over that area. And I see it was really kind of an easy land grab for Putin, not a target for some sort of additional nuclear disaster. 34. My Yorkie named Bentley has suddenly started barking uncontrollably at my son Connor, age 26, who lives with us and also cares for Bentley. Today, the barking was out of control and we did not know how to settle him down. Why is this happening? Any ideas how to stop it? Yeah, it appears your son is around, I'm going to call it some low-level energy, but I mean, this is like people. So whether these are people that are not good for him, or, sometimes I've seen individuals that maybe are other individuals involved in like drug use or something, that energy tends to come on people, it stays on people. When you walk in the house, animals are very sensitive to it. So it looks like your son may be inadvertently walking around environments where people have low-level energy or some other difficulty is kind of bringing that home. It's almost analogous to getting, some dirt or soot on yourself if you're around an outdoor fireplace or something and you walk in the house and you can smell smoke on people. So that's what the dog is reacting to. 33. Sterling, I read that Egyptians put curses on those who excavate the burial tombs. I also read that most of the archaeologists and staff did succumb to strange deaths. Can curses hold? Is it possible to break them? Well, I want to be clear here. There's no such thing as curses. I know many people believe in them, and it's really those human beings that create their own reality. So, anyway, regarding these Egyptian tombs, there are spirits that are very strong and they interact with people, but these spirits are not creating unusual deaths for people, and there are no curses that are moved forward with these people. However, spirits can get a little upset and angry if you upset their graves or their tombs. So there's some spiritual interaction there, but it's not a curse and doesn't create unusual ways of dying. 32. Sterling, I've seen many people asking for healing prayers for their loved ones. Often they only list the first name of the individual. Since since there could be many people in the world with the same first name, how does the universe know exactly which one your prayers or healing energy are intended for without more identifying information? Well, your guides and angels know exactly who the prayers are for. So some of this speaks to the relative talent or understanding, let's say, of the psychic or medium or healer you're working with. So there is a degree of talent or experience that goes in here. In addition, when you're talking to people, let's say that may not be highly evolved psychically or mediumship wise, your direct connection with that person can help your guides and angels understand where the prayer goes. So a little bit of a mixed answer here. If you're dealing with, a psychic or a medium or a healer that's very experienced, their guides and angels will know how to get that to the right person. If you're not dealing with somebody that's highly experienced, it does require a little bit more information between the individuals that are interacting. So hopefully that helps. 31. What do some ETs think about humans' use of astrology and other divination tools? Well, there's no substitute for being able to talk to angels and guides directly, and they always encourage that. And so when you talk about these kinds of tools like pendulums or tarot cards or whatnot, they're tools, and it's your guides and angels working through them. So, and I think this person mentioned astrology as well. ETs understand the nature of the universe and the position of planets and how those planets gravitationally affect other planets and galaxies. So they have a science that is not necessarily astrology, but they understand the interaction of galaxies and planets. So I think this person asked, how do ETs think about humans' use of these tools? Extraterrestrials communicate at a very high level, and so they don't necessarily use these tools, but they certainly understand why individuals would use them as an interface for their angels and guides. So hopefully that helps. 30. Hi, Sterling. Will women in their late 40s be able to fall pregnant easily in the future without invasive, expensive procedures like IVF? Yes, I mean, in the not too distant future, I'm talking about at least a decade, maybe a little bit longer, you'll see advances in gene editing and CRISPR technology. They'll be very helpful in this area. And, I mentioned before, but CRISPR technology, and if you're not familiar with it, you can Google it and take a look at some of the articles out there. But my guides were talking about this even several years ago, before this was even announced publicly. But these are the new building blocks for a lot of the medical advances in gene editing that's going to take place. So anyway, pregnancy for women in their 40s was the question here. There'll be the benefit of CRISPR technology as well. 29. While in college, a group of us jumped into my friend Charlie's old Dodge Start. While driving, Charlie almost flipped the car over and said emphatically, "Did you see that?" He said he saw a ghoulish figure rush up towards the car. 2 days later, he was driving alone and the car flipped over and he was tragically killed. It's terrible. Who or what was this figure? Well, I guess I'm sorry to tell you that this individual, for me, is coming across as having hallucinations. So this may be there's something that was neurologically going on with the person or had something to do with maybe some drug-related situation. But these are related to hallucinations and not a real or spiritual entity. So I'm very sorry to hear about this individual and the car accident, but it looks to me like it was very much related to hallucinations. 28. John Fetterman from Pennsylvania is running for state senate. He's a progressive Democrat. Will he win? It looks very promising to me. It always gets difficult if there's any kind of cheating going on, and we've experienced this in the past where somebody can actually win, but then hundreds of thousands of ballots are kept away. It looks to me like it looks very favorable in terms of him winning. So congratulations to John Fetterman. 27. On Monday, Michael Bloomberg, former New York mayor and Democratic presidential candidate, had an apocalyptic warning for his party. Absent an immediate course correction, the Democratic Party is headed for a total wipe out of November up and down the ballot. Is he correct? No, but I think the warning is warranted because I'm going to call it a wake up call. So I see Biden and the administration with the way they're going to handle the Ukraine, along with NATO, the Build Back Better plan being passed, a number of things happening here. You're going to see the public at large really come out in force to vote. And I do see Democrats still maintaining an edge. You know, it's going to be a slugfest. It's going to be a fight to the death, so to speak, in these elections for the Democrats. But I do see them maintaining some type of majority here. But I do applaud, you know, Michael Bloomberg. He's really issuing a wake-up call here, and that's important. 26. Will Amazon begin accepting cryptocurrency for payment this year? Yes, it does. And I'm also being reminded here that they already have a digital currency they use called Amazon Coins. So yes, it looks like Amazon is going to start accepting cryptocurrency. May start off with some of the most readily available ones. But remember, there's well over 1,000 types of cryptocurrency worldwide. So looks like Amazon will start off with a very small selection of them. Okay, 25. Do dogs and cats get sad when they are separated from their families during the adoption process? No, they adapt very quickly to the new environment as long as it's based on love. And remember, animals are part of the angelic realm. They come down here to teach us lessons. So the animals adapt very, very quickly to their new environment. 24. Is there any purpose in past life regression? Does it help your current life to understand your past lives? No, not necessarily. You know, what I find is that past lives are supportive of the current life you're in. And I know a lot of individuals, and I'm being told by my guides here, will get hung up on some life lesson they're learning in this life and thinking it is completely hinged on a past life or a past life problem. And I find that everything that we're supposed to learn here is contained within this life that we're in. So in some cases, past life regression may be helpful, but I see it, they're telling me in a very small fraction of cases that it's really more important to understand the life lessons, the experience, or even the related traumas that occurred in this life. So just the simple answer is that it can be helpful, but in a very small fraction of cases. 23. This last Sunday, you said that time is different for the higher dimension, and they look at us as if like we aren't moving. So is it that way for our birth angels that I've heard are always with us? So yes, I mean, heaven is essentially a different dimension. And in that dimension, elements, spirits are moving faster than the speed of light. Now, angels can move back and forth through multiple dimensions. So they can move through heaven. They can certainly peer into earth here. And so by virtue of that fact, angels can adapt to timing as they move through dimension. So hopefully that helps. It is faster than the speed of light in other dimensions like heaven. But when angels cross over, they can certainly see what's going on here and adapt to this time frame. That's part of being highly, highly elevated in the angelic realm. 22. My nephew is 12 years old and is suffering from sickle cell disease since birth. Will there be a cure soon? Yes. And here again, it's like about a decade off, and you're going to find in the 10 to 15 year window away from where we are right now, that a lot of these diseases will start being tackled using CRISPR gene editing technology. So it's a wonderful breakthrough for humankind, and there will be they're telling CRISPR technology here. There'll be an injectable solution to help sickle cell disease. Yes. 21. What is the difference between getting information psychically and channeling it from spiritual beings? Well, there's different forms of channeling. So in its essence, when you talk about channeling, that's opening up the pure channel of communication to the other side, your angels and guides, family members have crossed over, famous people from history, even pets and animals. Now, some people, for what they have a style. They like to allow the channeling entity to take full control of their body. I find that a lot of the very advanced people doing channeling, there's no need for them to take complete control of your body. So psychic information can flow in various ways, but I think this person was asking the difference between information psychically and channeling it from spiritual beings. So when you open up the channel psychically, there's different forms of communication. Clairvoyant, you can see; clairaudient, you can hear; clairsentient, you can feel; claircognitive, you can feel. But when you open up that channel, then there's different degrees of how you communicate. So hopefully that's helpful. We can elaborate more in a future show, but I will tell you, there's no reason to have any entity take complete control of your being to communicate. If you're advanced enough, you can just talk normally. It's the way I try to present the information to the audiences here as we talk, and that's all that's necessary. 20. I'm concerned with the rise of all the alt-right and the MAGA crowd here in Canada and the US. They were the main organizers of the recent protest in Canada. Will their influence wane? And if so, when? When will Steve Bannon's influence wane? Well, I see a lot of this waning, if you will, a lot of this MAGA activity within about a 2-year period. So we're going to have to get through the next series of elections and a lot of indictments and trials, but you're going to see a lot of this kind of outward manifestation of MAGA and what's going on, including all the extreme right. They're actually going to start calming down within about 2 years. Doesn't mean they're going away, but it will be a lot less evident in society in terms of creating a lot of chaos. Okay, 19 in our countdown. A few years ago, I was visiting an ancient archaeological site in Malta. I was standing in a structure believed to have been used as a storage building. I suddenly felt very strange and was physically unable to move. My feet were stuck to the ground. My husband took a photo of me and then nudged me to leave with him. Upon returning home, I zoomed in on the photo. It didn't look anything like me. I didn't even look human. What actually happened to me back there? Well, you're staying very close to an ancient spiritual being, and his energy actually obstructed kind of the optical effects of the photography, the picture being taken. But you're staying very close to an ancient spiritual being, and that can happen. So nothing hurtful there, nothing scary, but you certainly stood in some very strong energy. 18. Is there crime on ET planets? Yes, and they handle it through punishment and imprisonment and even have kind of trials. So they handle things very similar to the way many cultures around the earth handle it. Yes. 17. Most nights before bed, my dog stares at the ceiling in the corner of my bedroom as if he sees something. Is there a spirit there? Yes. This is all not only a family member, but it looks like a prior pet you may have owned. So these are friendly spirits to your family that want to say hello. 16. A few years back, a couple of doctors in Canada were working on nanotechnology to regrow teeth. Where are they in that? So where are we with that in the near future? Any hope for missing teeth other than dentures or implants? Well, yes, they've already been, they've had some success here with growing teeth, but here again, CRISPR technology in about a decade is going to be used for dental procedures. So, this is going to unlock a whole storm of good technology and health advancements. So you're going to be able to regrow teeth here in about a decade, and we've got some good progress being made by companies right now. But it will be commercially available in just a little over a decade. Yeah. 15. Are any missing people unfindable because they were abducted by aliens? And if so, will any be eventually returned to Earth alive? I love these questions. Well, yes. I mean, if you've been abducted, they're not going to find you on Earth. but all abducted individuals, in my experience, do get returned to Earth. So there's no desire for them to keep you, but you will get returned. 14. While in Europe a few years ago, we visited a Nazi concentration camp. While in one of the buildings, I became so overcome with emotions and had to exit the building. I felt better after a few minutes outside. Was I picking up the prisoner's emotion? Yes, I mean, absolutely. You're picking up a lot of the energy, a lot of the spirit energy that's in that location. You can find the same sorts of things when you visit other natural disaster locations, might be the 9/11 memorial or where other aircraft or airline accidents have happened. But yes, you're picking up a lot of the spiritual emotion and energy in that location. Those are individuals that are still visiting that location and still trying to provide healing energy. And so you experience a lot of that going there. 13, does heavy metal headbanging music raise an individual's vibration? Well, heavy metal rock music can certainly stimulate your senses, but it's pure harmonic tones that kind of enhance you vibrationally. The person with heavy metal headbanging music. So it stimulates your senses, but doesn't raise you vibrationally. So very pure tones. And every individual has what they call resonant frequencies. So very clear tones. I find that the use of synthesizers and sampling technology for music synthesizers, they generate some very pure tones, and they can tend to raise your energy vibrationally, but not necessarily headbanging music, although it's a lot of fun and kind of increases your senses, if you will. 12. Do we all have childhood trauma? Is it possible to completely heal from such, or is it something to be managed for the duration of our lives? Well, yes, I talk with lots of individuals, and everybody has some degree of trauma. And trauma are significant life lessons. Now, the way traumas work, you actually put those on your life path, but the design of the life or your blueprint is to work through those traumas, understand the lesson, and then to get through it in a way that you can help others with the same kind of trauma. So it's what I call a 360-degree lesson, comes full circle. And many times I do see individuals that have a trauma guide. So you may have a combination of birth angels and many working spiritual guides, but the team of spiritual guides, you may have, in fact, a trauma guide that helps you through those early childhood traumas. Now, traumas can occur at any time in your life. It could be related to accidents or some other major event in your life. But the purpose is to teach you a lesson, to get through the lesson, and then to help others. That's what it's all about. 11. Are we looking at another Cuban Missile Crisis? Russia forgave Cuba's $32 billion debt to Russia. What is going on? Don't see another Cuban Missile Crisis, but if I remember correctly here, the forgiving of this debt was a long time ago. I don't know if this was in the early 2000s or 2014 or something here, but this was basically a way for Russia or Putin to get in the good graces of world leaders. So don't see a Cuban Missile Crisis, but that forgiving of debt was quite a long time ago. 10. Do our pets show up in our lives to teach us something about ourselves or life? Could our pets also be like a spirit animal for us? Well, all animals are part of the angelic realm, and all pets that we have are certainly part of our life plan. And they're designed to come down here, yes, to teach us lessons. I always say animals and our pets all teach us lessons. And you can vibrationally be similar to a spirit animal. So let's say you identify or align with a bear or a fox or a lion or even a giraffe. But you're not necessarily that spirit animal, but you might vibrationally be very aligned to them and feel very comfortable with them. So animals teach us a lesson, and our pets come around to help us. And you might identify with certain animals, but you are not that spirit animal. Hopefully that's clear, makes sense. 9, do you see CRISPR or nanotechnology being available to stroke survivors to help with the paralysis? If so, will it be affordable? Yes, here again, we're looking at another 1 to 2 decades out for this nanotechnology, which you can think of it in terms of microscopic robots or microscopic computers that will be injectable into people to help. It reminds me, decades ago, there was a movie called Fantastic Voyage where individuals got injected in kind of a micro submarine into someone's body. But yeah, this nanotechnology will be available, practical, affordable, but it's 1 to 2 decades out, but it's coming. 8, is the Dark Pyramid located in Alaska, the Alaska Triangle, a real thing? Yes, this is an extraterrestrial designed and implemented pyramid. So it's put there by extraterrestrials, which I feel like they're telling me is still being utilized to this day. So it's being guarded by government or governments, plural. It does exist and created by extraterrestrials maybe hundreds of years ago, maybe a million years ago here. Hard to tell the time frame, but it was ET created and it's real. 7, I have a question. I've been having constant dreams and thoughts about blonde aliens. I've never cared or had any interest in this at all until the last month. I also have been seeing repeating number patterns for years, 333, 444 all the time. It's starting to freak me out. Am I crazy? I feel like I should understand something, but I can't. Well, the repeating numbers have a lot to do with awakening. So whenever you see repeating numbers around that you notice, that's part of a spiritual awakening you're going through. So congratulations. The fact that you're dreaming about blonde aliens, that was it, blonde aliens. Those are actually like the tall Nordics or even the Pleiadians. And you're dreaming about something here that may be coming up for you. So this is loving, benevolent energy in these dreams, but it's a bit of awakening you're going through. So you're not crazy. Just understand the symbols and spend a little time trying to decipher the coding of the numbers. And I'll recommend a numerology site. I don't really deal with numerology, but I find that there is a lady on the internet. Her name's Joanne. She has a website called Sacred Scribe or Sacred Scribes. And you can certainly Google like angel number meaning 444 and type in Joanne, and her site should come up. So I think she does a wonderful job of breaking down a lot of the repeating number sequences and what they mean. 6, my question is, do your guides see androids like from the film I, Robot or Data from Star Trek and Earth's future? If so, how far out, 80 years or 500 years? Yes, within 25 years, we'll see these types of fully AI-powered robots. And actually, you're seeing advances right now. You can even Google this. You're seeing advances in robots that are very human-like and can respond and interact with people. But in terms of being commercially available, within about 20 to 25 years here, you will see them, and they'll be helpful. They'll first appear in business and then be adapted to the home. So they're coming. 5, I've been doing some reading on this subject and wondering, will this century's climate crisis eventually cycle around into the Earth's next ice age, even a shorter time than typical? No, there's no ice age coming, but with a lot of help from extraterrestrials and a lot of science, good science, we're going to be able to adapt to a lot of the climate changes going on and global warming, but do not see another ice age coming. No, they're not. They're saying no. 4, hi, Sterling. If we try to manifest something that is not in our life plan, how is it that manifestation is expected to work if it's not in our life plan? Well, this is an interesting question because certainly if you're trying to manifest something, by its very nature, it's already kind of in your life plan. You already have a vision for it. Remember, everything we go through is a life lesson. So you focusing on manifesting it does not mean it will never come to pass. It might be different in scale or success. But the very fact that you're thinking about it and trying to manifest it actually means it's on your life plan. So I would encourage everybody to think about what it is they are trying to do here on Earth, what they came down here agree to do, and you can certainly manifest nearly anything you want. And that use your guides that help you do that. Your guides and angels help you do that. And I always tell people you have to abide by the 3 C's to be clear, concise, and consistent. That's the best way to do it. So hopefully that helps with the answer. 3, dear Sterling, my daughter and I each saw a smaller face in the window of our childhood homes. I'm sorry. Dear Sterling, my daughter and I each saw a similar face in the window of our childhood homes when we were children. My daughter saw this when she was about 12, and I was somewhere between 6 and 10 years old. My daughter said it looked like a tribal mask that had a red glow, and it looked like knives were going in around the top with knife handles sticking out the top. What I saw was similar, if not the same. I remember it haunting me for weeks or months. What in the world was it? Okay. Well, what I'm being told is this is somehow connected with your family. So this goes back, in your hierarchy, your family's hierarchy, and maybe some sort of a tribal spirit. This is a benevolent, a friendly spirit. This is not something frightening, but it goes way back in your family's hierarchy and legacy. And this is a helpful spirit, just kind of ensuring you're okay. I understand how that could be scary, but this goes way back generations in your family. And this is a spirit connected solely with your family. So congratulations. 2, do you see anything coming up this week? I do. I see more aggressive global talks among the world's nations and among NATO at devising a plan to militarily and diplomatically support the Ukraine. I see a number of world nations really coming to grips with the fact that they don't want this war at their back door in Europe. And so I see aggressive talks there. I do see some success with the Ukraine forces really helping to hold the tide. And I also see some very strong new sanctions coming out from world nations and the Biden administration towards Russia. So we're going to start to see some real additional banking institutions and SWIFT coming about here, and that being held against Russia. So, more progress in a number of areas. Progress is going to be a little bit slow around the Ukraine, but I do see a lot of that happening. Absolutely. And I do see success around the new Supreme Court justice nominee for Biden. So congratulations on that. Be the first Black female litigator, if you will, and justice to the Supreme Court. So good progress there. So congratulations to her and to Biden. And last but not least, do you see anything your guides want to share? Yes, a little stern. Many of us are on the planet right now are light workers. And so they're saying, please practice what you preach. We're all agreed to be here to help the universe and the earth right now through this several decade process that the earth is going through, and certainly around the global strife that's going on. So all light workers, bear up and please practice what you preach. So on that note, I'm going to turn it loose on this show today for Sunday, February 27th. And again, if anyone needs to reach me, sterlingpsychicmedium.com, look for the book a session tab. Till we join each other again next week, I am going to be doing a show with Linda Grindle on Sunday, September 27th as well. And I want to wish everybody a lot of goodwill, a lot of love to you and your families, and a lot of love and faith and tremendous support for those individuals and families in the Ukraine. So blessings, saying a lot of love and light to everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Take care.